you press this button to engage the camera's playback, and it shows you the latest picture that's been taken that's still stored on your card, on your camera. Recently, I had a comment on my video of the Canon 400D asking me if I could do a more in-depth view of how to use the camera, because somebody that watched that video had only just bought one of these cameras and wanted a bit of information on how to use it. And that got me thinking that potentially you might be somebody that's looking to buy an entry-level camera, looking to get into photography, or someone that might want to upgrade from using your phone and having a purpose camera to do your photography. And just thinking about this camera, thinking about the fact that it's an entry-level camera made me realise that it really is a fantastic camera for a beginner. It's not got a very high spec, and it's not got loads of features that will boggle your mind. It's really simple. In fact, it can't be much simpler. And the buttons on the back, although there's a lot, and there's probably more buttons on the back of this camera than most modern cameras, they all sort of do something, and they all do they're a button rather than a setting within the camera. So it's really simple to use these buttons, to press the button and to get the camera to do something. So in this really short video, what I've done is gone through some of the buttons on the back of this just to tell you what they do, because they basically do the same functions that most cameras do. And you can have a look and see what you think. And obviously, hopefully it helps you get some confidence that you could use one of these cameras really, really easily and take your photos. To change the picture, to see the first picture on the card or the previous picture that's taken, you go right to see the first picture that's saved on the card, or left arrow and you scroll through the images and you can see all the pictures that are on your card one at a time. Once you've pressed your playback button, what that does, it enables many other of these buttons on the back of your camera. So for instance, if you want to change the display in the playback mode, you press the display button. And the first time you press it, you get some limited information about the picture that it's showing you. So that's the file name. It tells you it's a 2-second exposure and it's f5 and it's the 10th of 11 pictures on the camera. You press it again and it gives you all sorts of extra information. In particular, you get the date and time it was taken, you get how long the exposure was taken, you get the aperture as well, which number on the camera it is. You get the histogram, as you can see there. It tells you in what mode the image was taken. So in this case, it tells you it was taken in RAW. The camera was manual. It was used, camera was manual. It's ISO 100, an 8 megabyte file, and the metering mode that's used. And it also gives you the file name. So all those things are on there. So what you can do, you can go back into the display mode and you can press this jump button here. And what that enables you to do is if you go up or down arrows, it changes the jump sequence. So it jumps to the next 100th image, and you press left or right to make that jump. Or you can go up again and it jumps to the shot by date, so that the previous date or the next date, depends on which arrows you press. And you can press up again and it'll jump to the next 10 or previous 10th image, just like that. And then you can take jump off. And then what you can now do is select a file, for instance, this one that's blurry, and you can press the delete key at the bottom, right at the bottom there. And you press the delete key and it asks you to confirm you want to delete it. Yes, I want to delete it, and you press delete and it erases. Now the other thing you can do on this menu is you can use these two buttons here at the top right. If you press the left one in, it takes you to all of the pictures and you can scroll through your images and select the one you want. And if you press the right button, it then enables you to zoom in, and you can zoom into a picture, and you can press the left one and zoom out. That gives you the display options. This video isn't an in-depth look at all the settings, the metering, the autofocus, the white balance, all that sort of stuff. I've not gone into any detail. I've just shown you where the buttons are and what they do. And if you think you could do with a much more detailed, in-depth look at all of the settings, then I'm more than happy to do it if you leave a comment below. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you get something out of it. If you want to change the ISO, you press the ISO button up, and then you've got all these ISO options to choose from. If you want to change your metering mode, you can go to evaluative metering. So what this does, it looks at the whole sensor and evaluates the light in the whole sensor. You can go partial metering, gives you 7% of the image in the center, or you can go to center weighted, which gives you a larger central portion where it evaluates the light. You can press down and you can change the white balance. So I've got it set on auto, but you can have all sorts of different white balances, depends on the location, depends on the light in your image. You can click the right button and then that gives you the 3 options for your autofocus. So I've got an AI servo. You can have a one-shot autofocus, or you can have an AI autofocus, which is Canon's proprietary autofocus, which I'm not sure what exactly it is, but I don't think it works very well in truth, as far as I understand. You have the option to change the drive mode settings. So you can have a single shot mode. You can have continuous shooting, which on this camera, I think it's 3 or 5 frames per second. And you can have the self timer, which is 10 seconds on this camera. That gives you that option. And then this button up here enables you to change your, if you press and hold that button, you can scroll through and change your aperture. If you take the button off, you then scroll through and change the shutter speed. That button is also used if you want to do exposure compensation in shutter priority or aperture priority or program mode. This button on the right gives you the ability to change your focus point. So you press that button and then you can use the wheel to scroll through all the different focus points from the left hand side all the way round individual focus points to the center or to all. And that's pretty much all the settings you've got on the back of this camera. Use this scroll wheel to change your options on the back of the camera. For instance, your focus point or your aperture or your shutter speed. Use this wheel to change all the modes on your camera, whether you want manual mode, aperture priority, shutter priority or program mode, or if you want to go all fully automatic, or there's lots of other modes on this camera that you can select. Finally here, this indicates the focal plane of your camera. This is where your sensor is. So if you need to measure the distance between your sensor and your subject, this is the point that you measure. Obviously, if you press the menu button, it brings up the menu and you can go through all of the menu options of the camera. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope it's been helpful and informative to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.